Yo, what's going on, everyone? My name is WowShane, and welcome back to Your Favorite Game, the show where we talk about your favorite game. Today's favorite game is StarCraft, originally released for the PC and Mac. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you like what you see here. Today's guest is House of Mike. House of Mike, why don't you tell the wonderful people about your favorite game?
So my favorite game is old game, classic RTS back from the late 90s. I think it was released in 1997. Might be a year off, but it's StarCraft, the original StarCraft.
I gotta say, this avoided me because I never had a PC growing up, but it reminds me of some of the modern RTS games that I play, and I can see how a lot of games take so much inspiration from what this has set up.
Yeah, I mean, RTS actually nowadays is kind of a dying genre, which is a little bit sad. But I think there's probably some reasons for that. People obsess about the competitive aspects of it, and it can be very draining and stressful to play these games competitively. So I think that's what turns people off a lot of the time from RTS.
Yeah, even casually it can be stressful. Like, you're just trying to manage 1,000 things at once, and things are just coming at you, and you have to be...
They can definitely be overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, you have to be like 5 different places at once, 5 different wavelengths of thought.
Yeah, I actually tried to stream the game one time, and it was a nightmare because, like, it takes too much focus, like, to play the game and to try to talk to people at the same time. It was draining to do it. But I don't regret it. I did play it, I think, one time a while ago on stream, because I was like going through like my old games, my old childhood games, and this was definitely one of them.
So how do you play StarCraft? Are you casual? Do you do challenge runs? Do you do like any sort of speed runs for it or anything?
Purely casual. I've always played the original StarCraft. Pretty much every RTS, I've always played it very casually. I don't play it competitively at all, because like I said, I find it too tiresome. It kind of feels like a job sometimes, or a chore, to play it competitively. Especially the original StarCraft, because you had to have what's called APM. I don't know if you've heard that. It's actions per minute. So you have to have like the amount of actions you're doing in the game has to be insanely high to be competitive. So you have to be going super fast with the clicks and the keyboard, commands and all that. So to play competitively is very tiresome, I find, especially the old game, because you had to have a really high APM. So I would always just play it casually, doing the campaigns. I really like the campaigns. I like the single player aspect the most, and custom maps. And I would always, when I played it multiplayer, I would always play it either co-op with people, like against computers, or I would, play it custom maps. But it would always be like, not PvP, it would be PvE, is the way that I always play StarCraft and RTSs.
Yeah, I'm not trying to offend anyone by saying this, but I think, like, if you play these kind of games competitively, you gotta, like, hate yourself, or you have something to prove to someone, and this is your best way of doing it.
Yeah, some people though make good money off of it. I mean, the small percentage of the top players that do it, and they dedicate their entire lives to playing the game. You can definitely, because it was huge, especially in like Korea. There was a huge esports aspect to this, so there were people being paid that were like the top players. But aside from that, yeah, it's basically you're treating it like a job if you play it competitively. So yeah, so I always loved just playing through the campaigns of the story. I really got, like, it was one of the first games. It's probably why I consider it my favorite game, is because of nostalgia reasons, and it was like the first game that I sunk so many hours into. And I just fell in love with the universe of it, like the sci-fi universe of it. It takes a lot of inspiration from classic sci-fi movies like Alien and the Next Generation, like Star Trek and stuff. It has tons of references to those things, and it really got me obsessed with like space and sci-fi, and really kind of immersed in that universe. I credit that game definitely for getting me into that.
I feel like we've basically covered the roots of this, but I'm still going to ask, what makes StarCraft your favorite game, and what keeps bringing you back to it?
Yeah, so just like I said, basically, the universe, the story of it, I feel like it has a really good story. Still to this day, it has a top-notch campaign, really good story, really good voice acting, actually. One of the earlier examples of a game that had voice acting in it. And voice actors were top-notch, the story's top-notch. I still love to come back and play through the campaign and the original story to this day. Every once in a while, you know, every few years, I'll come back and play through the campaign or play through some custom maps. Because that's what always keeps bringing me back, is just the story, the nostalgia of it, and then the massive amount of custom maps that were made for it. That's always what keeps bringing me back.
So it sounds like this game has a lot of community support, but...
Or it did back in the day when it was first released.
Oh, so people aren't really keeping up with it too much anymore?
I mean, it's surprising. There is still a lot of people that play the game. It's mostly, I mean, it's a lot of people probably playing it more competitively or playing, you know, PvP and stuff. At least the ones that are the streamers. But it's just such an old game. But it's actually crazy how old it is that it still does have a semi-active community. There's a lot of games this old kind of completely die out, and this game still has a presence. It got a remaster for it. So there's still people playing it to this day.
What is something you would add to StarCraft if you had to add it?
I thought about this one, and I would say I think it could benefit from like an in-game system to download custom maps. Because the only way to really download the custom maps is to either do it through external websites or to download them by joining a game. Because the way it works is that you would join a custom game, and then it would download the map. But it would be kind of nice if there was a searchable, you know, like a search feature that you could search through a list of all the types of custom maps that people made and like have a rating system and stuff. I feel like it could benefit from that. Because the campaign editor in the game, I think, is one of its biggest strengths. It has an amazing campaign editor that lets people build completely like crazy custom maps. People did some really clever things with the campaign editor. Beyond what the game even intended, because people modded it to hell, to the point where the campaign editor, you know, can do things above and beyond what it was originally intended for. So that's one of its biggest strengths, I think, is the fact that it has such a great system to make custom maps. And that's one of the things that still keeps it alive to this day.
Yeah, I don't know when they started adding those into games. It feels fairly recent. The last game I really remember playing that didn't have one of those was Halo 3, where, like you said, you needed to... I didn't have any way of downloading them onto the file because it was the Xbox. But you had to actually have someone who had the map, play with them, and then be able to download it like that.
Yeah, that's the way the old game worked. I think StarCraft 2 kind of has that sort of thing. It sort of has it. I found it kind of primitive and annoying to use, at least when it first was launched. They did kind of have like a way to search through the custom maps and stuff, but it wasn't very robust.
If you had to remove something from StarCraft, what would you remove?
Yeah, this was a really hard question because, like, I mean, I think the game is really, really good. The only thing that I think it could benefit from would be to tone down the AI for some of the expansion missions, because it's just it's hard to the point of annoyance. Like, they need to tone down, like, so the computer is way too good in some of the expansion missions at using some of the abilities of the units, like stasis ability, lockdown, and then like psionic storm. These are 3 abilities that are really annoying to deal with in a lot of some of the expansion missions towards the end. And the only way I could really beat them was by just save scumming. Like, I just had to like basically save a ton, and then right before I knew they were going to use that ability, I'd have to like kind of memorize the movements of the AI, because the computer is able to, you know, have an APM far beyond the player, right? The computer can do like nearly infinite amount of actions simultaneously at the same time, right? So it would be able to control like 12 units and simultaneously use all of their, you know, lockdown abilities on my units, and it was super frustrating. So I feel like they should tone that part maybe down a little bit, because stuff like that makes some of the missions like really annoying to deal with. But that's probably a pretty common thing, I think, with some of the older games. A lot of older games had stuff like that where, you know, they made the game hard at times to the point of frustration.
Oh yeah, the older games could kick your butt. That was like carried over from arcades, where they just wanted you to keep losing and dying and spending more quarters. And they didn't realize that maybe we just wanted to have fun. not be upset.
Yeah, and there was no difficulty options like, the modern StarCraft 2 has. You can set your own difficulties and stuff. This one was just one preset difficulty for every single thing. So sometimes it would be like laughably easy, and then sometimes like a mission would be like ridiculously hard. It was kind of all over the place.
All right, for this next question, it's kind of a two-parter. You can answer just one if you want, or both, completely up to you. What is your second favorite game, and or what game is most comparable to StarCraft?
I'll answer both. Although for the second favorite game, I'm kind of probably going to cheat a little bit, because there's just so many great games. But if I have to pick maybe like one or a few, I would say I really probably like Super Mario 64 would be close to my second favorite game, because that was also for nostalgia reasons. I grew up with it. One of my first games that I played, and it was just so clever with the way that they designed the castle and the way that you go through the paintings and stuff. So, and really clever with the way that they did the puzzles and having to get the different stars. So, Super Mario 64, I've become more partial nowadays in terms of like a modern game. I've been getting a lot more into like FromSoft games. I really like Sekiro and the Dark Souls games. So I'm kind of slowly morphing over time. I'm not really a Blizzard fanboy anymore nowadays, but I'm becoming more of like a FromSoft fanboy, because I've been getting pretty heavily into their games, and yeah, so maybe actually, my second favorite game could over time could be like Sekiro or the Dark Souls games. That's possible. And then what game would I compare to my favorite game? So games that compare to probably the best game that would compare to StarCraft directly would be Age of Empires 2, because it kind of came out around the same time, and it was also a top-notch RTS. Age of Empires 2 had a really great campaign also, and a really, really good multiplayer. And they released Age of Empires 4 recently, actually, so that's one of the few RTSs that's still alive today, is that Age of Empires 4. Also a great RTS, I think. Probably in terms of like comparing it more directly, Age of Empires 2, because they came out around the same time. And then modern days, Age of Empires 4 compares pretty well, because they're both RTS, they're both the same type of style of game, and they both have really good campaigns, really good campaign modes.
I went into StarCraft not really knowing anything about it, because as I said a little bit ago, I never had a PC growing up, no form of computer growing up. I didn't get a computer until like 2013, when I was of age, had my own job, and buy one myself. And StarCraft never crossed my field. I have gotten heavily into RTS games. Like, they're not really RTS, but they kind of are, because you have a lot of stuff you need to manage, such as your city builders, like City Skylines, or like Surviving Mars, for example. And I can see where like something like Surviving Mars takes a ton of inspiration from StarCraft, where you just have so much you need to manage at once, and it can become a bit overwhelming at times, honestly. When I did play StarCraft for the show, I didn't play it for too long, but it's because of the length of time I spent in the tutorial. They taught me how to set up one of the depots. I'm not recalling which one currently. And they taught me how to set up the mechs that depot produces. But then after that, they didn't tell me what to do. I didn't know that I needed to set up a fuel refinery, because, well, I tried to set up a fuel refinery, but I didn't know it needed to go in like geysers or something. So I sent all my troops around the map, had them take out every single enemy on the map, and when they came back, I was like, okay, the game is still not telling me what to do, but I figured it out eventually. And this is definitely a game that I could see myself putting a ton of hours into. It definitely hits a niche for me, because I love those stupid, stressful games where I'm like panicking the entire time I play it, because when you do end up winning, it is such a massive like, oh my god, I actually did it moment. But I can see why this like genre wouldn't be for everyone, but I definitely enjoy it. It's a good game, and if you enjoy panicking and stressing yourself out while you're playing games, give it a try. I know that the original non-remastered version is free on Blizzard right now. Thanks to House of Mike for telling me that, because, I was actually able to give the game a try.
Yeah, it is free to play. You can download it for free from Blizzard's official website. The original game, completely intact. If you can deal with the dated graphics. But, yeah, the remaster, I think, is like $15, so still worth it. I think still worth the price. So if you're a fan of the original, you could try it out for free, and then maybe consider picking up the remaster if you like that.
Yeah, graphics don't really bother me too much. As long as the game performs well and it's fun to play, I'll play any graphic style, any low quality game, like low quality looking game.
The game was like insanely well made and well optimized back in the day. They don't make modern games like they used to, because like I remember this game also came on a CD that would install from the one CD. You could install it on a Mac or a PC. From the one CD, it had both versions on it, and like that's kind of mind blowing to this day. It's like you can't find something where you buy one, it works for both, systems. I mean, nowadays it's pretty much all like, I don't know, do they even make stuff for Macintoshes anymore? That might have kind of fallen off a little bit. But yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing. It's also mind-blowing that the original CD still installs on modern machines to this day. Like, that's a testament to how well it was made. Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing. You can install it on Windows. Like, I don't know if it works on Windows. What's the most recent one? It worked for me when I installed it on like Windows 7. I haven't tried it, I don't think, since then, the old one. And of course, I mean, now you can just download it for free from Blizzard's website, and they've updated enough and released enough patches that obviously if you download from their website, it should work on modern machines, I believe, right? You didn't have any issues with that when you downloaded it, did you?
No, I accidentally downloaded StarCraft 2 for free. I don't know how I did it, but I downloaded StarCraft 2 instead of StarCraft 1 at first.
Is StarCraft 2 free to play? I didn't even realize that.
I think so, because I have it.
They must have made it free to play, I guess. Or at least the multiplayer aspects. Maybe the campaigns locked or something, but yeah, it's probably old enough that they just released StarCraft 2, I guess, free to play. I would just recommend once again, just people try out, give StarCraft a try out. The remaster is actually really good. I was really happy with the remaster they made, because you can literally just toggle with the click of a button when you're in game. You can toggle between the new graphics and the old graphics, which I thought was really neat. And it's basically the same exact game. It's just updated graphics and it looks a little bit more pleasing on the eyes, but it plays exactly the same. So that's all I wanted out of the remaster. I just wanted them, update the graphics but leave the gameplay and everything intact, and that's what they did basically. So definitely worth the $15 or whatever it is. But once again, if you don't care about having slightly fancier graphics, you can go play the old game in like 480p or whatever it was. I think it was like 480p was the original game. But yeah, still a great game, this game. Give it a try out, try the campaigns out. You might like it. And it is kind of sad to see, like I said, it's sad to see RTS kind of dying nowadays. But I think the reason for that is because people get a little bit, like, they think that they have to do like the competitive aspects of it. They think that they have to do the multiplayer PvP kind of stuff, and you don't have to do that at all with RTSs. Just play it single player, play through the campaigns, play through custom maps that fans make. Can actually be a really relaxing and chill experience. And that's why I play them. I play them, I play through the single player campaigns and the custom maps, because I find that way more relaxing than doing the PvP. Although sometimes, like I said, some of the missions can be a little bit frustrating. But other than like a few missions here and there and stuff, I always love playing through the campaigns for the story, and also just to see what fans make. I mean, the people are still making maps to this day. The campaign editor, I think, is one of the biggest strengths of the game. It's like modern games, I feel like, could really benefit from having like a map editor like StarCraft had, because fans did some really, really clever things with the editor and made some really freaking great multiplayer maps that I would just sink hours and hours as a kid into these custom multiplayer maps with other people. And so many great like defense maps. There's like maps called like Sunken Defense, and like turret defense, where you literally just like you're trying to defend against waves of enemies, and you have to build your turrets up. And people made like one instance of like a clever mechanic with the campaign editors. People made a way so that you can stack the buildings on top of each other. You can literally put buildings on top of other buildings by using like a sort of like a glitch that existed in the game, where you turn off the map and then it lets you build a building over another one. And that that caused the game to go above and beyond, I think, what it was originally intended, because it made for some really interesting like custom maps, like I said. So yeah, I definitely sunk so many hours into the game just playing, PvE, like just playing against computers and stuff and doing the custom maps. I mean, Warcraft 3, right? I don't know if Warcraft 3, also another RTS by Blizzard, has a really great campaign editor, and that's where that basically invented the MOBA genre, right? Because that's where Dota came from. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but Defense of the Ancients, Dota, right? You've heard of Dota?
I've heard of it. I'm not. I've never played it.
So it's like a battle royale game, right? It's like a multiplayer online battle arena. Is what they call it. So pretty much every modern MOBA, like League of Legends, Dota 2, Heroes of the Storm, none of those would exist if it wasn't for a custom map that a fan made in Warcraft 3, and then it basically spawned an entire genre of games. So that's a testament to how well the map editors are in StarCraft and Warcraft 3. I mean, it freaking created an entire genre of gaming, for crying out loud. So that's what I love. That's like one of the best things I think about gaming, is just the fans and the crazy things they make with mods and with editors and stuff. So yeah, so give it a shot. I don't think you'll regret it. Pick yourself up. It's free.
All right, House of Mike, tell the wonderful people where we can find you.
You can catch me on twitch.tv/House of Mike. And I stream usually 3 times a week right now, streaming Sundays and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time.
All right, make sure everyone goes drop a follow on House of Mike. And while you're here, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, don't forget to follow us and rate us 5 stars. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, House of Mike, for being a guest. And I'll see you next time.
Thank you for having me.